Oh, hi.
Hey, what's
Hi, everybody. I want to welcome you to the Woodstock Film Festival. Thank you all for coming out. We're so happy you're all here. It's been going amazingly, and I wanted to thank our director, Casimir, who is the director of The Outside Story, who's here to answer questions. Yeah. That's it. Honk for clapping. That's right. Hey, I like it.
Yes! I love a good honk.
Yeah.
The honking is so great.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with a question that you might just think is totally weird. But what was with all the pink hats?
Oh, good detail. Good question. I haven't gotten that question before. Total coincidence. Costume designer epiphany. I think we did talk about it.
Okay.
We ended up. I think I mentioned this to you. We ended up. This was supposed to be a summer film, and then because of actors' schedules, we ended up shooting in like pretty much the heart of winter, like end of November, freezing cold. So all of a sudden, everyone had to be having the wool hats, the beanies, and so I think there was a lot of discussion about, well, if he's wearing that color, she should wear this color. So I think my costume designer, Evelyn Catlin, wonderful. She had a very refined sense of color, so she was very like, oh no, they're not both pink. That's pink. That's fuchsia. So I think there was a lot of that, and so there was no subtext unless you felt something from it. But
No, I just wondered if it was like an inside joke.
as you know, when you get locked out of your house, you wear pink hats. Everyone knows that. That's basic Brooklyn 101. No, total just coincidental.
So one of the things that we were talking about is that this was meant to shoot like it was meant to look like it was fall, but it was actually early winter. It was 30 degrees out.
Yes.
While you were shooting. So if you wanted to talk a little bit about that.
It was so cold. It was so painfully cold. I wore long johns all the time. I love long johns now. I didn't have a real relationship with them before that, but now I love them. But my pain was nothing compared to the actors who actually didn't really get to, because to get the autumn or the summerish kind of vibe, they had to keep the light jackets. Brian Tyree Henry is not only in a sweater, but he's also in socks for most of the film. So we actually had to build him a rig. So he's got kind of like the aqua. I'm sorry to go behind the scenes, spoiler, but he had kind of like an aqua sock underneath it. This kind of like, there was big budget. So we went deep and we got him kind of the protection. But it was really brutally cold. I think the only part that was a problem was just fog coming out of actors' mouths. Like that was something that we never really solved, but we managed to cut around it. You'll see some fog. The eagle-eyed viewer might catch a little fog, but other than that, it was just indie film hardship that we overcame.
Okay, good. All right, so my next question is, I think that it was such a sweet story, and I wondered how you came up with that.
I could say that I have been locked out of my apartment many times. That would be true. I could also say that I was an in memoriam editor at one point, so I used to cut the videos that he's working on. I think when you're writing films, a lot of times you're mining your own life. You're always looking for kind of pieces, and I think at different points I thought that all these pieces would kind of fit together. But actually, it's funny, I was thinking about it today. I actually think it goes back to something my father was a painter, and he just had a lot of kind of, Zen cones, and one of them was really like, when you have an idea or when you've been doing something, you should really immediately do the opposite. Like just always try to go the opposite direction. And so before we did this film, I'd been spending years like every other filmmaker. I was, writing screenplays, trying to get something made. And everything I was doing was kind of too big. Like me trying to write like these sci-fi epics, aliens, things like that. I think some of the same themes, but just on a kind of scale that was, kind of ridiculous. And at a certain point when I decided it was time, I really wanted to make a feature myself. And I say myself, but that's actually a total lie with about 200 other people. I decided to, like my father was saying, to kind of go the opposite way. What is the smallest story that I can find? What's the smallest story that could generate drama? And I just thought someone locking themselves out of their apartment when all they want to do is be inside, and when they're desperate to get back inside, I thought that would just generate a kind of really interesting conflict, a way to kind of see your neighborhood, a way to kind of see your community, meet all these people, see this tapestry of character, give you an excuse to bring in all these characters. It felt like this format that I don't know. I mean, it's a simple story, but the problems stack up and stack up and stack up, and I hoped that it would be a kind of drama that people could relate to, that was something that they had perhaps experienced, been disrupted in the same
And
way.
so how long did it take you to write it?
I wrote in, I think, about 3 months.
Oh,
I really, there's that great feeling when you do find a story that you like, and when you come up with a hook. Like, I had the idea for, for Charles to be locked out. There's your beginning. And then a few days later, I had this idea for, wouldn't it be interesting if he was in a relationship, and the way he ends up getting his keys back is that his partner, his ex, is coming to return his keys, just kind of coincidentally. And I think once I thought of that, honestly, it was like it just flowed out of me, in the sense, I don't mean that it was easy, it just was like, I just felt like I could see it. Like, I just could see what it was, all these characters kind of weaving together. I think the hardest part was finding the balance, making sure that the characters were balanced out, that you brought them back at the right time.
Well,
So.
since you mentioned the hardest part, one of my questions was, what was the hardest part of making this movie?
The hardest part, I mean, I guess the hardest part is just, we shot it so quickly. We shot it in 16 days. And I think for me, I'd never made a feature before, and I'd made short films, and I had moved quickly before, but never on this scale, never again. No, but never on this scale. Had I kind of moved at that pace, and again, it's an indie budget. It's like, in the grand scheme of films, this is a very, very low budget. Yet it is by far the most money I've ever spent on anything. I mean, not spent, but been involved with, somehow been part of. And the hardest part is just that there's really no margin for error. Like, you're in this scene, you have only today, then this actor flies away, or the location goes away, and there's no, we're not going to be able to get it back. And so just being able to kind of function, knowing that if you kind of, if you don't get it, if you don't hit it, if it's not right, that you won't have, like, you'll figure something out, but that you might not have it as good as you kind of want it. So to me, I think that was the hardest part. But having said that, the production was like really smooth for something that was such a low budget. I think that's a credit to the actors, to Brian Tyree Henry, Sonequa Martin Green, Sunita Damani. I mean, actors who are too big for this film. They're too big to be in this film, and too big to work with me. I don't know what they were doing.
Well, I was going to say that it was a really impressive cast, and I wondered how you came to it.
So again, credit.
Clearly they weren't too big to be in your film, because they are.
I hear you saying that, but I don't believe it. I think. How did we do it? You'd really have to ask them what they wanted to accomplish with it. I think ultimately we had a great casting director, Stephanie Holbrook, and we had great producers, Brian Newman, Frank Call Green, Joe Stevens. But I think I just reached out to, like, my favorite actors. I mean, I honestly just reached out to actors who I loved watching, people who I'd seen. I'd be sitting there with my wife, Hannah Boss, by the way, who plays Paige in this film, the very pregnant neighbor. She's here. Shout out to her.
Woo!
She's here. She's awesome. She drove a really hard bargain on the contract, but she crushed it. But no, I think honestly, I think I tried to reach out in a genuine way, and I think we got the script to them, and hopefully they liked it, I guess. Maybe they hated it. That would be really ironic. But no, I mean,
I don't think that.
I don't think so.
Do that.
No, I think honestly it was just I don't know. I got really lucky. I think probably every filmmaker says that, but I really did get that lucky.
Well,
because
so how was it working with your wife? And is she really a DC girl?
I'm gonna leave that. I can't answer that. That's really that's too personal. It was great working with my wife. She's an actor and a writer, and someone who I admire, and someone who was also essential and so wonderful with making the script, watching our son also while we were shooting, while she's in the film. So it was really wonderful. I don't think she loved. I don't want to speak for you, Hannah. But I don't think she loved being directed on the finer notes of pregnancy by her husband. So that might have been a little bit tough. But she was she was wonderful in it, and so it was another person I was very lucky to work with and be married to.
Okay. Well, and then I wanted to know. I feel like we kind of got into this.
Sure.
But as a first-time director, how did you pull the funds together?
How do we pull the funds together? we had great executive producers. I mean, it's just, again, more luck. It took a lot of, let me think. I've never answered this question. Let me think about it. I would say that the first part is in the beginning, we had an executive producer from the very beginning, and he gave us a little bit of money, but that money also kind of symbolized like a belief. And I think when you have that belief from someone who has money, it kind of makes everything start working and start ticking. And so that guy's name was Evan Thayer. He's a friend. He's a wonderful person. He went out and found the other investors and brought them in.
Oh my God.
It took.
Now, you don't hear that story very often.
But no, it was like, and he insisted that he wanted no creative. He's a wonderfully principled person about supporting artists, and was very like, I don't want any creative input. Don't show it to me until it's done. Like, don't sweat it. Like, I actually would have shown him way more and like got his ear more about stuff, but he was like, no, just show me when it's ready. And he was really, truly like a dream. I think he wanted to move into the film space. He's more of a theater kind of investor, funder, supporter. And I think he wanted to be part of a film, and it was just, being in the right place at the right time with him. But I think also that's the kind of short version. The longer version is also just that you do all the things, you make the lookbook, you make the mood reel, you make all the pieces, you try to convince the people you're talking to that you're worthy of the investment. And I think for that, it's like for me, I just felt like I was constantly, I had to project this confidence that on some level I had, but on another level, I totally didn't. I was like, I don't know if it's going to work, but I had to talk much more like, it's definitely going to work. This is definitely going to work. This film, and let me tell you how we're going to shoot it, even though I haven't thought about, I haven't figured that out yet. How, but really projecting a kind of confidence to it.
I like, performing it for the audience so that they can really see.
You can feel that.
How he was pitching.
Yes, exactly. but no, just great investors all around.
Well, so I wanted to know, how is the plan of getting the movie out? Obviously, this is a crazy time, and how's it going? And just give us a little update on that.
Sure. I wish my producers were here, because I feel like I'm never clear on what I should or should not talk about. I don't think there's nothing salacious. It's just really where we are in the process. We're in the middle of this really kind of amazing festival run, and I say amazing because we're also in the middle of a pandemic, and so I just. I kind of can't believe that people are seeing the movie at all. 4 months ago, I just thought, oh, well, I guess people will see it someday, somehow. And it's because of festivals like the Woodstock Film Festival, who are doing beautiful drive-ins, that people, not only are people seeing it, but they're seeing it on the big screen, which is something that I think a lot of filmmakers right now are very, worried about, that people who have movies that are coming out now or that are ready, it's amazing to be able to show it right now on the big screen. In terms of future plans for it, we are very, we have, no, that's not right. I can't give it away. No, we're,
you don't have to say it.
I won't say, but people are going to see it really soon.
I do want to shout out to the Woodstock Film Festival for having 3 different venues to watch a movie. It's independent movies on the big screen.
Yeah.
And this is really, I think this is the biggest film festival right now that I've heard about, to be able to do this in 3 venues and to support the filmmakers this way. I think it's really been amazing. So,
absolutely.
And I thought the timing for your storyline was quite interesting. There were hints and moments where it felt like it was, indicating everything that's going on with Black Lives Matter. And so I don't know how that, did anything change when you were coming to the end of your film? Was it anything affected by that?
I think in general, it's pretty wild when whenever you make a film and then when the film comes out, the world is going to have changed. But it's pretty amazing how much the world has changed from when we shot this film. I don't know that, I think, it's a comedy. It's a film that is, I wanted to kind of make a film that was about kind of kindness and neighbors and community in particular, and appreciating the things around you. I had these kind of lofty ideas that we would kind of make this very kind of life-affirming film. But then it's interesting, because then as things start to shift and, police means something different, the fact that we're in this pandemic, the fact that we have the leadership we do, all these things, you kind of can't help but kind of project it onto the film. And so in terms of when we shot it, I mean, there are certain things we did that we kind of tweaked in the edit to make it a little more, I don't know, kind of a little more in sync with where we are right now in terms of, like, for instance, in the scene with the police, kind of just turning up how the crowd reacts and turning up how the police react. But also trying to stay true to kind of the rhythm of the film. And also, honestly, to just be, I have to talk a little bit about the actors. The fact that Brian Tyree Henry, Sonequa Martin Green, like, wonderful, wonderful actors. I wanted them, all the actors in the film, I wanted them to make these characters like their own and make the story their own. And, in a lot of ways, that's kind of, I love working with actors. It's probably my favorite thing when I direct. But really what it means is just watching them do their thing. And so we didn't have, like, a lot of rehearsal or time to kind of prep, but I wanted the actors to feel really comfortable with what the story was doing and what their characters were doing, and kind of, if not, to kind of, like, bend it to their will. And so I like to think that hopefully that collaboration really shone through. And I'm just, I don't know, I always kind of just get teary-eyed thinking about the actors who are in this film. And I mean, the lead of Star Trek is in this movie. That's amazing. I don't know. It really hits me right here. So anyway.
Well, and so I thought I would also ask if there was anything that anyone that you wanted to shout out or anything that you wanted to shout out.
Sure. I
can
always give shout outs.
Sure. You had sort of mentioned some people that you wanted to acknowledge.
Well, I definitely, obviously, my wife Hannah, who's here. Also, my son Rocket, who's in it. Rocket, are you listening? Don't do it. Don't throw the popcorn around so much. He's 3. He's 20. No, he's 3. And my mom, Joyce Robbins-Noskowski, who is also here, who also is an investor in the film. By the way, big shout out to my mom. I feel like I haven't gotten to talk about that as much, but so nice investors all around. And I just want to shout out everyone who came out tonight just to see the film. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really.
Thank you. Yes, thanks for your support and supporting independent film and for supporting the festival.
Yes.
It's
Thank
really
you so
important.
much for the Woodstock Film Festival also. Again, just wonderful.
All right. Well, that was really great. If there was anything else that you wanted to mention.
I'm sure I'm forgetting something very
I'm sure
important,
I am
like
too.
critically important. That I guess. Oh, I know. If you want to, I know this is important. If you like this film even a little bit, or even if you didn't like it, but you like indie film, the film is going to come out in the spring of 2021. And just if you could spread the word, if you could tell people, just spread that word along. Go to our Instagram, go to our Facebook, and just help us build that buzz. We have a very small marketing budget, and it's like that much, but we need it. So any help you can give is thank you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank
to
you
talk
very
to
much.
All right.